The March 5th update for Destiny has brought a ton of new weapons to the game, and in this one I want to go over the Nightfall ones. This is going to be a shorter video because there's only 2 weapons and I couldn't really find a place to tie them into my other videos. Even though there are only 2 and I really couldn't fit them in with other videos, that doesn't mean they're bad, and namely things like the sword potentially be very good, and that's why I still want to make a video on them. Now if you'd like to see my other in-depth breakdowns of the weapons, definitely be sure to go check those other videos out. There are a ton of good weapons that you can get from this March 5th update, and I would highly recommend farming for them. But alright, starting off, let's take a look at the sword, since this is probably going to be the most sought after. So this is called the Slammer, and it is a stasis vortex frame. As you can see, it looks just like the Dark Drinker, but it does have some graffiti on it, and honestly looks pretty cool in my opinion, and it's a nice little callback to one of the best swords that we've ever had. Now if I take a look at its perks, it does have attrition orbs, relentless strikes, eager edge, pugilist, chain reaction, and thresh, alongside cold steel, one for all, collective action, permeability, demolitionist, and bait and switch. All right, let's start off by getting the elephant out of the room. Yes, this sword does come with the eager edge. This only has ever come on the Halo themed swords from the 30th anniversary, so it is nice to see this on a sword that isn't based around that. The problem with eager edge though is the fact that enhanced eager edge is just better than normal eager edge. Now I have heard that eager edge with vortex frame can kind of do some crazy things, and potentially it could be faster than what we already have, and maybe if you throw in well skating with that, I'm not exactly sure, you could potentially go faster. But if you're just using eager edge normally just for a little sword swipe, you're not really trying to play into all the gimmicky stuff, enhanced eager edge is just always going to be better. This is going to increase your buff duration, so when you swap to the sword, you can hold on to eager edge for longer, so you can just get the swipe off whenever you need to. And this also increases your lunge distance. So enhanced eager edge, if you are just using it, just swap to its sword, swap off, enhanced eager edge is just always going to be the way to go. Now if there is some crazy movement tech and you're going to be playing into it, obviously I would look out for one of these with eager edge. But if you're just doing a normal sword swipe, your half truths, your other half, that is still going to be better if you do have enhanced built onto it. But let's take a look at its other perks and talk about the damage it could do. It has things like relentless strikes, so you can get your ammo back on all your light attacks, which is nice. If you're going for ad clear, it has things like chain reaction, which can be pretty good. A vortex frame chain reaction hit sounds pretty fun. And then it also has things like cold steel. This is the only other sword in the game that can get this. So when you hit enemies with light attacks, you apply 40 slow stacks, and with heavy attacks you apply 60. And on top of that, it also has things like bait and switch, which I'm pretty sure is the first time we've ever seen this on a sword. Now a thing to remember, this is a vortex frame. These are very solid for doing damage, and obviously these aren't the meta by any means right now, but if you remember Dark Drinker, they do have potential to be one of the best swords in the game. And if you have something like bait and switch on it, that could be very, very strong. So if you look at its combinations, we have things like relentless strikes and cold steel, which could be very fun. You're constantly applying slow, you're constantly getting ammo back. The heavy attacks also apply slow, and the thing to note is that one light attack and one heavy will shatter an enemy, and this could potentially do even more damage than things like bait and switch. It could be kind of a chill clip type thing that we have at rocket launches back in the day when that was a thing, so maybe it's only beneficial to have one person use this. Now if cold steel actually works with the vortex frame, so when you spin the vortex frame, you can hit multiple parts of an enemy. If those multiple parts hit, apply slow, and you could just get one heavy attack to shatter, this could potentially be very strong. I don't know if it's going to work exactly like that because the sword isn't out yet for us to test it out, but if that is how it works and you can constantly cause a shatter on every single heavy attack, that could be very, very strong. Now I don't think it's going to work like that, and even if it doesn't, a glide attack into a heavy is still nice, and you can still apply that shatter, so this could be a very strong combination. Now relentless strikes and bait and switch, again, bait and switch is one of the strongest perks in the game. It did get nerfed. It is now only a 30% damage increase, but if you proc bait and switch and then go to town with your sword, this could potentially be very strong. The only other legendary sword that can really compete for DPS is Bequest with Surrounded, and if you have that proc, you're getting a 40% damage increase. So this is a 30%, so it's 10% less, which you don't really have to worry about having Surrounded proc. So this could potentially be very good as well. I'm not exactly sure how meta defining it's going to be, but I think it is something I will look out for, and I would definitely fall for it just in case if swords ever do get a crazy buff. And this sword even has fun things like pugilist and demolitionist if you're just trying to get your abilities back, but chain reaction is also pretty good. Chain reaction, maybe collective action for an ad clear roll. And I do want to mention that this does have stunning recovery and Vanguard's Vindication. You're mainly probably going to run Vanguard's Vindication, so when you get a kill, you get health. So you're up in the fight with a sword, you're taking damage, now you get health back every single time you get a kill, which is nice. I don't really think you're going to be using stun and recovery a lot on the sword, so Vanguard's Vindication to get the health back is a pretty nice little benefit to have. Post-editing rest here, and I forgot that cold steel can actually stun champions, so with stun and recovery, that could potentially be very good because the slow will stun overload, and if you shatter an enemy, you can stun unstoppable. So stun and recovery could actually be a pretty decent option, and you can use the sword on overload champion sound, which is pretty cool. Now, if I was building this, I would definitely go with Relentless Strikes and Cold Steel and Relentless Strikes and Bait and Switch. I honestly want both of these rolls just in case, just to have them, because if Cold Steel is good, we're definitely going to be using that. And if Bait and Switch is better, we're going to be using that. But Relentless Strikes and Cold Steel is my most sought after, so I'll go on and select those. And then with Swordmaster's Guard, and then of course Jagged Edge, because this will increase your charge rate and Jagged Edge will give you the most damage. So you're sitting at a 68 impact with a faster charge time for your heavy attack that can potentially shatter on every single heavy attack, and you're constantly getting ammo back. So this is very, very nice. This is a sword I would highly recommend you get. And if you do get the Adept one, it can even come with things like Adept Big One, so you can do more damage to majors and bosses. So again, very, very strong. Definitely be on the lookout for it. Now, if we come over to a weapon that I don't think is going to be very, very strong, that is the Wild Style. This is going to be a solar double fire grenade launcher. This is the second time we've ever received a double fire. The first one was from the Spire the Watcher dungeon, and unfortunately this thing does not have that good perks. As you see, we have Keep Away, Envious Assassin, Unrelenting, Danger Zone, Stats for All, and Enlightened Action, alongside Incandescent, Permeability, One for All, Surrounded, Attrition Orbs, and Collective Action. So the problem I'm having with this weapon is that I can't really find the identity of it. If you look at things like the Water Fight, this is the other double fire grenade launcher. It has things like auto loading, so you can, store it away, get a shot off. Some like spike grenades, you can do pretty good damage. 11 gold, you have more ammo, things like that. Vorpal as well. So again, you just can get a shot off, do more damage, and it's really good for weapon swapping. It also has things like, auto loading and disorienting, so you can blind enemies as well. Disruption break, so you can break shield and do more damage to your kinetic weapon. It has an identity. It's very good for what a grenade launcher does. And then if we come back and we take a look at the Wild Style, it's just kind of here. So we have Envious Assassin, which is obviously a very good perk. Unrelenting is not the worst perk, and Enlightened Action if you want to get your reload speed up, I guess. Then the second column, we have Incandescent. We also have a One for All, maybe Surrounded, potentially, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, Collective Action, I guess you can kind of make work. I don't really understand what this weapon's going for, because it's not really good for utility. It doesn't have auto loading, disorienting, so you can't really blind enemies with it. Yes, it does have disorienting grenades, but you're gonna have to reload the gun. I guess it is nice to point out that it does have text balance stock, so if you get a hip fire shot, which you will pretty much always do with a grenade launcher, you will get increased reload speed. So you get up to 59 reload speed. That's still not a lot, so you're not really going to be rocking this all the time. But then I guess you could compare that with things like Enlightened Action. So if you get a hit, you get even more reload speed. I guess if you hit multiple enemies, you get even more, and you can get this up to max reload speed, max handling, and you can just, I guess, constantly keep blinding an enemy over and over again. But in reality, you're really only going to have one stack of this if you are shooting this on a single target. And then maybe you could pair that with Attrition Orbs, so you can make orbs, you blind enemies, you make orbs. I'm not exactly sure, but if you are looking for a blinding grenade launcher, there are so many more better ones, specifically things like the Wild Fright or just any other thing that can get auto loading or disruption rate or anything like that. So I don't really know where you're going to use it in that case. Now, if we look at it for a ad clear standpoint, things like Envious Assassins, obviously very good. You can get your magazine up a lot. You're going to get 2 shots in it. And then on top of that, you compare it with something like Incandescent. So you get a kill, you can spread Scorch everywhere. One for All is not even that bad because, you can get more damage with it. But the problem here is the fact that if I'm using a grenade launcher for ad clear, I'm just going to use a wave frame. Forbearance, even the new one from Iron Banner, why would I use this for ad clear? So most of the time, you're really only using these grenade launchers just for doing some extra single target damage if you're weapon swapping or if you're blinding enemies. So the only real damage based perk for this grenade launcher is Surrounded. I guess you can make Collective Action work, but if you have Surrounded, Envious Assassin, maybe you could swap this, get 2 shots off on a boss, does an okay amount of damage. Obviously, it's not going to be doing that much, but just for a special weapon, maybe it could do a solid amount of damage. Swap to another weapon. Problem is, again, no auto loading, but if you get a kill with Envious Assassin, you can reload the gun and maybe you can play around that. And like I was saying, I just don't know where this grenade launcher is supposed to fit in. It really doesn't have that crazy rolls, and I don't even know if I would recommend you farm for it, because I don't think this is going to overtake the other grenade launchers, because what those grenade launchers do and what they specialize in, they already do better than pretty much anything this grenade launcher can do. Now, I'm happy to eat my words, and if you do know a specific role for this that makes this thing crazy, definitely be sure to let me know in the comments. But I just don't foresee this thing being good in pretty much any scenario, because again, every other grenade launcher we have just does what this thing can do better. And it really doesn't have a specialization, whereas other grenade launchers do. But all right, that is going to do it for the Nightfall weapons. Obviously, the sword is going to be the most sought after. Grenade launcher, I don't really know what they were trying to cook with that, but definitely when the sword comes around, I would highly recommend farming for that, because it does have potential to be one of the best swords in the game. We're just going to have to wait and see how Cold Steel procs with it and the DPS testing with Bait and Switch. Anyways, though, I wish you all the best of luck on farming for the weapons that you want. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day. Peace.